Alright, motherfucks. It's the hater back in the house. Been this bitch, you know what I'm saying? We're going to talk about two things today, alright? It's going to be a short video probably because there's just two things that I think are worthy of talking about. Number one, alright, there's going to be a new champion crowned in WWE. And by that, of course, I mean NXT UK is getting another title. That's right. It's like some bullshit British rules championship. Like nobody fucking wants it, I'm sure. But basically, it's going to be like... there's going to be a tournament, and it's going to be contested under these weird rules, right? Where there's like 3 rounds or some shit, or 6 rounds. And like, if you win 2 falls, you win the match. But you have like 6 rounds of 3 minutes each or something to like score at least 1 fall. DQs are still DQs. What else? Countouts, I think, count for just a fall. So it's kind of like these weird ass rules, right? And there's going to be an entire championship based around these rules. Now, the question you may be asking yourself is, who the fuck cares? You know what I'm saying? Nobody gives a flying fuck. Like think about the UK title, right? That's like the main title in the NXT UK brand. That's like arguably the least relevant title right there with the Cruiserweight title. You know what I mean? Like nobody gives a shit about this title, right? Nobody gives a fuck about the NXT UK title or the NXT tag titles or the NXT women's title. I don't even know who the NXT women's champion is. Is it Toni Storm or whatever? Who gives a fuck, you know? So now, to make this even more interesting, they've added a new title. Like, it's like the mid-card title of the spin-off NXT to the real NXT. So this title ranks, obviously, by far, the least relevant title in WWE history. You know what I'm saying? That goes without saying. Think about the North American title. Keith Lee wins it, and then relinquishes it. Doesn't care at all, right? Finn Balor fails at winning the ladder match, you know what I'm saying? Because he didn't even qualify for it. And now Finn Balor's NXT champion. In other words, NXT as a brand has a 0 prestige. Being the NXT champion is like the equivalent of being like the light heavyweight champion in like 1999 when Gilbert had it for like 2 years. That's the value of this belt and this brand, right? So I think this is a waste of time. No one cares. The more titles you have, the less valuable any titles are. Now, for example, right, AEW, to their credit, they only have 3 titles. And the TNT title was presented as a big deal because they didn't start off with it. And there was like a tournament, and Cody Rhodes, who is one of their bigger stars, became the champ, right? So that's a better way to present a new title and to create prestige around it. Now, I'm not saying that the TNT title has prestige, you know what I'm saying? But it is a title that is taken seriously. Right, like the NXT UK like mid-card belt under weird rules, it's like I would put the 24/7 title above all NXT titles at this point. You know what I'm saying? No one gives a fuck, and I'm sure that we're gonna have like a Raw Underground Championship coming at some point. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see, right? There you go. That's what we gotta say about that. More titles, less prestige, and furthermore, I looked at the list. There's like 7 people competing. And the wild card, the 8th wild card person. Now, I don't know if the wild card person is going to be one of these people, like, or like he's going to be determined in some sort of like second chance-ish battle royal type match. In other words, I don't know if the wild card guy is going to be like an irrelevant person, or most likely, in my opinion, the wild card person is going to be like the best one of them all. You know what I mean? It'll be like 7 jobbers, and they'll put in like some guy that actually like has some prestige, you know, because the participants for this tournament are people like Alexander Wolf, who was the 4th guy in Sanity. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be him. It's gonna be like fucking whatever, Trent Seven. That's one of the guys. Is it Trent Seven? Whatever. The 7 boy from Mustache Mountain. Like, all right, someone like him who is never gonna be a star. He's like 40 already, and he's fat, and he's in NXT UK, so he's never gonna be WWE champion. So it's people like him, and then like, there's like that Flash Webster Morgan guy. And then the other 4 people are people I've never heard of in my life. You know, like I don't watch NXT UK, but even if I had, I feel like I wouldn't know these people. You know, like it's people like Ilya Dragunov. Like, I mean, it's not even him, but you know, people of that caliber, right? People that like are just jobbers. Like they're just hired because they need bodies to wrestle there. So that title is extremely stupid. The NXT UK brand is only relevant if it feuds with NXT or if they have other NXT offshoots, right? So if they have like NXT India or whatever, NXT Japan. Like NXT Japan is the next move, in my opinion. It's a smart move. You know, compete directly with those idiots in New Japan and all that shit, right? And one guy in one of my videos, he was like, WWE doesn't want to go there because New Japan is protected by the Yakuza. Who gives a fuck about the Yakuza? You know what I'm saying? Nobody gives a rat's ass. Vince McMahon will bitch slap the Yakuza in their face. So anyways, he'll just send like that big guy from Raw Underground just to take care of all the Yakuza, you know? I don't even mean the bodyguard. I mean like the Daba Kato guy, you know? Who apparently is the real Babatunde. I don't know, who cares? Who gives a fuck? Next, we have something that I thought should have been spoken of, you know? We didn't really talk about this much because I knew it was going to be a disappointment. So I didn't have much to say about it at that point. But last week, they said that this Friday, or I guess this last Friday, Bray Wyatt is going to debut a new character in the Firefly Funhouse. To me, this encapsulates exactly what Bray Wyatt's WWE career has been. A complete failure. At this point, he's gone from being the scary guy to now the thing to look forward to because he's lost so many times. Like the Fiend has gotten his ass kicked so many times, right? Like I think the Fiend is like 2-2. You know what I mean? He doesn't even have like a better record than Bray Wyatt. So the thing to look forward to is what puppet will Bray Wyatt debut on the show? Now I know that the subset of smarks that likes this garbage is probably wondering, oh, what's the puppet going to be? Oh, is he going to be as good as a Rambling Rabbit? All this stupid shit, right? So I watched the clip on WWE.com, and Bray Wyatt debuts or tries to debut Pasquale the Parrot or something. There was an adjective there too, but Pasquale the Parrot. But Pasquale the Parrot died in the box, right? So then like the Vince McMahon puppet comes out and he tells Bray Wyatt like, yo, I need to like take some creative control here because like you're shit basically, right? And I know this was supposed to be like tongue-in-cheek, but it's fucking true. You know, it's not funny. Like at a certain point, the parody, the meme becomes the reality, right? It's like, yo, this has been a complete failure. It's been an abject failure. Like this last year of Bray Wyatt has been a waste of time. It's like a waste of his career. Yeah, he became champion twice, but it was bullshit reigns. Both of them were bullshit reigns. Like one was there just to drop the title to Goldberg and the other one was to drop it to Roman Reigns. Like that was his only purpose. It was like, we don't want Roman Reigns to like, you know, beat a face, and Braun Strowman was a face, right? So we're gonna have him beat these like heels that people like kind of because he's turning heel, that kind of shit, right? And with Goldberg, he was a full heel, and Goldberg needed to beat the big bad boogeyman type character, right? And Goldberg beat him in like 3 moves, Reigns beat him in 1 move. So like there was nothing like frightening about the Fiend. Like nobody's scared of the Fiend anymore. The Fiend sucks. So there you have it. Vince McMahon puppet comes up and he introduces like a walrus, which is obviously supposed to be Paul Heyman, right? It's Paul Heyman because they used to call him the Walrus once in a while. And now he's part of the Firefly Funhouse. Now think about what that means, motherfucks. That's basically Bray Wyatt and the WWE poking fun of themselves. That Vince McMahon must always make the decision. And that Vince McMahon doesn't let people be creative. The problem with that is this. Bray Wyatt is not creative. You know, I know a lot of people say good things about him. Even like I saw an interview with John Cena where he said Bray Wyatt works really hard. All this stupid shit. He's not good. Sorry, motherfucks. This is like Bray Wyatt is like when people say, oh, Luke Harper deserves like creative freedom. Bray Wyatt is Luke Harper with creative freedom. And I hate to say it, but the Exalted One is better than the Fiend and the childish bullshit. He's better, right? I mean, both of them are worse than like Vince McMahon's version of Luke Harper with a Southern accent. I think that's much more, like, I'm much more entertained by Luke Harper talking in a Southern accent and being like a badass Southern guy than I am by him wearing a suit or by Bray Wyatt introducing Pasquale the Parrot. I mean, what the fuck has happened? Pasquale the Parrot? And then you have the Walrus and Bray Wyatt is like, yowie wowie, what are we gonna do? How about fire yourself? How about quit your job? You know what I'm saying? How about just do it? Just take the plunge and become a comedy character. Just become like Bray Wyatt, give yourself like some comedy gimmick. You know, like something like Tensai. Remember Tensai? When he went from Tensai to Sweet T? Make him Sweet B. He's just an asshole who comes out and does like the raising the roof like taunt by putting his arms up. Or make him like a Rikishi parody. Anything is better than this garbage. It's just stupid, man. It's been killed. It's time for an overhaul of Bray Wyatt. The only thing that works is either kill his career completely with a comedy gimmick or give him no gimmick. Now, I know that I always say gimmicks are what drive wrestling, and I believe that fundamentally and firmly. I think it's very important. However, when someone has been given several gimmicks and has done absolutely nothing with them, let's be real, it's time to take away gimmicks from him and give the gimmicks to someone else. Give Cesaro a gimmick. You know, don't, like, Even the yodeling gimmick, which was stupid, obviously, is better than no gimmick. At least he has something to hang your hat on, right? At least the yodeling gimmick gets him on TV. And from there, he can, what's it called? Kind of like put himself over somehow. But at this rate, motherfucks, at this rate, it's not looking good. It is not looking good. And that's the problem. The problem is that people have given too much deference to these dumbass decisions that nobody wants to see. And now we find ourselves hoping and praying that something changes. But what's going to change? What's going to change? I think Bray Wyatt's career has Luke Harper and Miro written all over it. This guy's going to end up in AEW. Eventually, when they run out of ideas for him, he's going to end up in AEW like Miro, and he's going to say, oh, the glass ceiling held me down. Another one of these glass ceiling assholes. You know what I'm saying? Could it be that there is no glass ceiling, but you're just not good enough to reach that brass ring that actually is there? Like, people have done it before. People with no charisma, no nothing have done it before. They've waited for their turn, and they've achieved. Like Benoit, Eddie Guerrero. I mean, Eddie Guerrero obviously had a lot of charisma, but you know what I mean. People that have been actually held back. Like, you look at Eddie Guerrero, you're like, this guy should be a main eventer because he's entertaining as hell. You look at Cesaro, and you don't think he's entertaining as hell. You think, wow, this guy's really strong and athletic, and I wished that they'd give him something to do so he can have and develop some charisma. But nobody looks at Cesaro and thinks, wow, what an entertaining act, he should be champion. No one really thinks that. People think that because they like his in-ring work. And just like some jabron in the comments on the last video who was saying like, oh, Brock Lesnar doesn't have like this, he's not as good as Cesaro and Rusev. And I'm like, yeah, shut the fuck up. What are you talking about? Brock Lesnar is like better than them in every possible way. Like Brock Lesnar on a random Monday night that he appears makes more money for the company than Miro has ever made for any company. You understand what I'm saying? Like people like Miro, Rusev, and Cesaro, they don't draw. They don't actually draw. Like no one cares if it's Cesaro wrestling instead of Sheamus, right? Nobody cares. They're completely interchangeable. And this reminds me, I'm going to do a list, I'm going to do it now probably, of the 10 most underrated wrestlers. I was thinking about this in my head, and I need to do it because in that list, I will explain why the people that I think are underrated are underrated. Because they make a difference. They make a difference, or at least they could make a difference if presented differently. You know what I'm saying? Cesaro will never make a difference. Sheamus will never make a difference. That's the problem. Bray Wyatt also, unfortunately, will never make a difference. No one's going to buy a ticket to see Bray Wyatt. Let's be real. Maybe when he was like first starting out, okay, that's kind of cool. But not anymore, motherfuckers. Not anymore. And with that, I bid you motherfuckers adieu.